Evan Turner had mastered the art of invisibility. Every morning before sunrise, he pushed his gray janitor's cart through the quiet corridors of Drake Innovations, the tech giant that shone like a castle of glass and steel in the middle of the city. The building always hummed softly, servers, vents, automatic lights, like a living machine breathing in the dark. Evan moved carefully through the silence, wiping fingerprints from chrome surfaces, polishing stair rails, emptying trash bins with gentle precision. He liked working early, when no one could ask him where he'd come from or what he used to be. By the time the executives arrived in their tailored suits and polished shoes, Evan would be on a lower floor, blending into the background. He preferred it that way. Fewer eyes, fewer questions, more time to get home to his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, the only reason he kept moving at all. But on this particular morning, fate, or perhaps misfortune, had other plans. A young intern had spilled a caramel latte on the executive floor, and Evan was called up to handle it. The 42nd floor was usually off limits to janitorial staff during working hours. It housed the CEO and her elite team. Evan kept his head down as he mopped the marble tiles, humming softly under his breath, the tune more habit than intention. That's when he felt it, pressure, a presence behind him. He turned. Evelyn Drake stood with her arms crossed, her silhouette sharp and commanding under the overhead lights. She was known for her brilliance, her intensity, and, unfortunately, her impatience. Her expression said she had no time for interruptions or imperfections. "Are you humming?" she said, her tone cool, "while leaving streaks on my floor?" Evan blinked, surprised. "Sorry, ma'am, I'll redo it." "Do you even know what you're doing?" she demanded, heels tapping toward him like punctuation marks. "This is the executive floor. I don't have time for sloppy work." He nodded, keeping his expression neutral. She had no idea that before life knocked him down, he had engineered systems more complex than anything this building ran on. But none of that mattered now. All that mattered was keeping this job. "I'll fix it," he said quietly. Evelyn scoffed and turned sharply, tossing over her shoulder, "Unbelievable. They hire anyone these days." The words stung, but he didn't let them show. He had thick skin now. You develop that when life has already torn you apart once. By midday, the building was buzzing with panic. What began as a minor glitch in the system evolved into a full-scale crisis. Servers crashing, financial platforms freezing mid-transaction, error logs overflowing faster than engineers could read them. The war room filled with frantic engineers and red-faced executives clutching phones. $40 million in contracts were hanging by a thread, and the company's reputation was seconds away from free fall. Evelyn barked orders faster than anyone could follow, pacing the room while engineers typed furiously. Screens flashed warnings. Backup servers destabilized. Someone whispered that if the West Coast servers fell too, the company would face its biggest meltdown in history. And that's when Evan appeared, pushing his cart gently past the open war room door. He wasn't trying to snoop, just trying to get through the hallway without attracting attention. But he couldn't help noticing the lines of code flashing on the screens. He froze mid-step. He recognized it, all of it, even the mistake, the recursive loop spiraling inward, feeding on itself like a digital whirlpool. He hadn't seen that kind of failure pattern since his old job, back before his wife died, back before he spent nights pacing the living room with a crying baby, back before he lost everything he thought defined him. He knew exactly how to fix it. But stepping into that room meant stepping out of the shadows. And he didn't want that. Not anymore. Not after what happened. Then he heard Evelyn. Her voice not sharp this time, but tight, strained. "We're losing the entire East Coast cluster. Somebody find the cause. We don't have time." Silence filled the hall. Evan exhaled slowly and stepped into the doorway. "Excuse me," he said. The room stopped. Every head turned. Evan felt exposed under their confused stares, but he kept his voice steady. "Your patch is rewriting itself because the loop is calling the wrong parent sequence. If you reroute manually for 60 seconds, you'll isolate the failing nodes." The engineers blinked. Some looked offended. Others looked intrigued. Evelyn looked downright annoyed. "This is a restricted room," she snapped. "We don't have time for..." He's right, said the lead engineer suddenly. He zoomed in on the code, eyes widening. He's absolutely right. Evan walked toward another monitor and pointed gently. Here, someone inverted the fail-safe. Every attempt to fix it feeds the error instead. A hush fell. Engineers gathered. Mark, the lead engineer, shook his head in disbelief. How did we miss this? Evan stepped back, uncomfortable with their attention. I can fix it in 5 minutes. Evelyn stared at him, all her confidence briefly shattering. You're a janitor, she whispered, stunned. Who are you? He swallowed. Just someone who used to work in systems. Before I became a single dad. She said nothing. No one did. Evan moved to an empty terminal. His fingers danced over the keys with the speed and certainty of someone who had lived inside code for years. He wrote a patch, rewired the loop manually, rerouted the clusters, and reset the fail-safe. The screens steadied. Error messages disappeared one by one. After 5 breathless minutes, the room erupted. Cheers, gasps, sighs of relief. The meltdown had been stopped. Millions saved. Hours of chaos reversed. Evan stood, rubbing the back of his neck, wishing he could disappear again. Evelyn walked toward him slowly, her expression unreadable. Thank you, she said softly. Then, we need to talk. But he slipped out before she could say more. He didn't want gratitude. He didn't want attention. He just wanted to get home to Lily. Part 2. The next morning, Evan hoped everything would return to normal. He arrived before dawn, hoping to avoid whatever conversation Evelyn was planning. But she was waiting for him. He stepped out of the elevator on the 8th floor, only to find her standing there with a black coffee and a look that made his stomach twist. Walk with me, she said. Her tone wasn't cold this time. It wasn't even commanding. It was earnest, and that scared him more. He followed her to her office, feeling like a man walking into a storm. But inside, she didn't yell. She didn't lecture. She didn't mock him. Instead, she sat down, folded her hands, and simply asked, "Who are you really?" Evan stayed standing. "I'm a janitor. Don't lie to me," she whispered. "Not after what you did yesterday." He let out a long breath. "I was a systems architect. A good one. But after my wife died, everything fell apart. I missed work, missed deadlines, lost my job. No one wanted to hire someone who couldn't promise overtime or late nights. So I stopped trying. I just needed something steady, something that let me be home for my daughter." Evelyn listened without interrupting, and something in her expression shifted, something softer than he expected from the infamous Evelyn Drake. "You gave up your career for your daughter," she said quietly. "Most people call that sacrifice, not failure." Evan shook his head. "It doesn't feel like success." Evelyn stood and walked toward him, her posture no longer intimidating but almost vulnerable. "Evan, I want you on my team. Full salary, full benefits. I'll personally fast-track everything." He looked away. "I can't work 70-hour weeks." "Then I'll make a new role," she said instantly. "Flexible hours, remote work, whatever you need." He blinked. "Why would you do all that?" She hesitated, then said, "Because I misjudged you. Because you're brilliant. Because we need you. And because no one should let talent like yours go to waste." He didn't say yes. Not then. He needed time. And she respected that. Over the next weeks, something shifted between them. Evelyn began greeting him warmly every morning, sometimes offering him coffee, sometimes lingering a little too long in conversation. Evan found himself talking to her more, telling her bits about Lily, about life before everything changed. And Evelyn, in turn, revealed pieces of herself, her loneliness, her relentless pressure as CEO, her fear of being seen as weak. Two worlds that should never have touched began intertwining quietly. Then one evening, everything changed. Evan was heading down the lobby stairs to pick up Lily from the waiting area when he heard her laugh. Light, joyful. He froze mid-step. Lily was sitting on a bench, and Evelyn was beside her, listening, smiling, genuinely smiling, as Lily showed her a drawing of the two of them holding hands. Evan's heart hammered. "Dad." Lily ran to him. "Miss Evelyn kept me company. She's nice." Evelyn stood, brushing her hair back, suddenly looking almost shy. She's an incredible kid, she said softly. Evan swallowed. She's my whole world. And then Evelyn said quietly, I know. Their eyes met. Something warm flickered there. Hope, fear, connection. Evan, she said, stepping closer. Let me help make life easier for both of you. Take the job. He looked at her. The woman who had mocked him, doubted him, dismissed him, now standing before him with something like sincerity glowing in her eyes. Something like care. Evan thought about Lily's future. Thought about his own. Thought about the truth behind his so-called genius. That it wasn't the brilliance he once had. It was the strength to begin again, even when life tried to break him. Slowly, he nodded. Okay, he whispered. I'll do it. Evelyn's exhale came out shaky, relieved. And in that moment, quiet, trembling, full of promise, both of their lives shifted forever.